funny, we were talking during the break about how this business so many years go by, right? And this, we're talking about this great actor, Bobby Giuliano, that we all worked with. And I ended up running into him a few days ago at our friend William's Graveden premiere. And you ended up working with him years ago as well, right?
Yeah.
So,
It was a short film. I don't remember the name of the film. Russian guy from Brighton Beach, and he played the doctor. It was all about like drugs and these people ODing and stuff. And that's the first time I seen him. Like I knew of him,
sure.
and then I happened to, because I watched the first 2 episodes of Gravesend, so I said, "Oh, that guy looks familiar."
That's him, right? Yeah.
Him.
Well, I worked with Bobby was the main bad guy in a pilot I did like 12 years ago. So crazy walked in the door. I said, "Joe, I was on Bobby. We haven't seen each other in 12 years." You know, it's crazy. And he goes, "Well, how long ago was that? A few years ago?" I said, "Bobby, it's 12 years ago." And he just ended up watching it. You know, we shot those on the 5Ds,
Right.
7Ds, and everything.
Yeah.
So great project. But again, you don't know enough about getting things sold correctly at the time. What do you know? I wish I knew about distribution. What I do now,
Yeah.
you could have been a different story.
Tarantino.
Yeah.
I think he was talking about it. He's like, just do it. He's like,
Yeah.
don't worry about, I'm shooting with the red. He goes, just get the thing done. He goes,
100%.
because it's all about, and we were talking about this earlier, it's storyline.
Yeah.
It's the story. It's the characters. It's the great acting. It's the great writing. The lighting is good. The sound is good. And you have a nice camera, then it's going to look then the production should look that much better. And at the end of the day, you don't want people to fall out of the film because they're like, wow, something doesn't look right. They may not understand what doesn't look right, but as soon as they see something or feel something that's not right, they're taken out of the whole film.
The subconscious takes you out of it.
Yeah. And then you're screwed. So
what's incredible though is think about, things now. We talked about the Canon XL1, which was a great camera back in the day. But nowadays you have things like the C70, the C300, these cameras that are, especially the C70, cameras that are somewhat affordable for people to buy or rent.
Right.
And now you have these tools that could be used, things like, again, that you should use it all the time, but I think it's a beautiful thing. Things like autofocus, all this stuff, you can come in there and imagine if you're a one-man band shooting like we used to shoot and you don't have this like team around you and focus puller.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to be a storyteller and you're an up-and-coming filmmaker, the technology now, though, that you don't need it, has just opened so many more doors. Where before you could make a complex shot, you can get on a steady cam and to have autofocus work for you. It's incredible now. I mean,
that's what, I mean, for me specifically, as I got older, I can't, the eyes tend to go a little bit and I'll be walking around. So yes, to me, autofocus, and I have the C70.
Beautiful camera, yeah.
I wanted to get the FX6, but during the pandemic, as nothing was available. But now I may eventually actually go to that FX3, which is just as good.
Yeah. The FX
It's unbelievable.
Are you kidding me?
Now, I know it doesn't have the ND filters, but you know what? That camera, but the I mean, it's incredible. You could run into the camera, and still stay in focus without having to worry about focus pullers. And a lot of times we are a one-man show.
Sure.
Well, we want to keep the budget down. If we're trying to do these short, little films that just, I don't mean little films, but we're trying to just keep the amount of money that we're spending.
Well, think about
minimum.
it. Yeah, we lived in the best of times as well as the worst of times. So we have the technology, we have the ability to have our films in 60 plus territories around the world.
Yeah.
Right, and that's fantastic.
Right.
But then where's the payout for that?
Right. That's the whole.
The hard part.
At the end of the day, it's still a business, and we still need to make money for ourselves in order to pay the bills. Because this is what we love to do. We don't want to, have to do other things to earn money. So that's why, again, I started shooting, directing, writing, because if I can make money, not just with acting, maybe it will be enough to survive. And lucky enough,
And stay in the
I've
same
been in that
industry.
position for the last 25 years. And I thank God for that. And hopefully it will continue.
No, absolutely. And it's and again, we have to thank companies like Sony that are creating these new cameras where you can do that. I mean, you couldn't think about years ago creating films that look so cinematic, beautiful on the budgets that you can do it on. I mean, look, the FX3, that camera is incredible. What they did with that, they opened the doors. You can essentially be a one-man band, shoot something that's cinematic. You have autofocus, the stabilization, the Sony lenses now, you're getting 1.8 lenses.
Right.
That you got autofocus on, plus stabilization inside of it. That's, I mean,
you could basically shoot in the dark with that camera too, because the low light
capabilities
are insane.
Get out of here. I mean, that especially now if you're a documentary style filmmaker,
great.
That's as a no-brainer. I mean,
they're like what? You could turn that ISO up to like what?
102,000.
Yeah, there's some ridiculous stuff like 12,000. It's like,
Yeah.
you
That's
know,
a second. There's like different
Right.
stops in it, and their color science. The S-Log is not really
oh
good.
no, it's great.
It's phenomenal. I mean, the Venice is a gorgeous camera. They have their super
Yeah.
high end one, but
Yeah.
you know the FX3, the FX6, the FX9, they all look really good. I mean,
yeah,
Sony used to kind of have a little bit of that digital feel back in the day.
Yeah.
I still love the FS5, the FS7. Those are great cameras.
I had that too.
the FS5. That was a fun. That was good. That was a great
Yeah, no, that
camera.
was a good camera too. Yeah.
They were the workhorse.
And the C70 that I have right now, also, it's great. The camera is, because the chip in that is also same chip as in a $12,000 camera.
Yeah, there was the Mark III. Absolutely, the C300.
I mean,
yeah.
okay, I'd like to move up to 6K, but the C70 is just amazing. The picture quality is incredible.
You can is color science too. I think it's comparable with anything really out there.
Absolutely.
It's great.
And the autofocus is really good on that.
Sure. Yeah.
You could actually touch the screen and it'll
To touch autofocus like that.
autofocus if it's not working fast enough or something like that.
See, I love the speed boosters that you guys have on that camera because you're turning right.
So that was another thing. So in a perfect world, like we all wanted like a 24 to 105. Give me a 2.8.
You never have to buy another lens.
They don't create that lens.
Yeah.
So I have the 24 to 105. It's a 4, but because I have the speed booster on it with the C70,
Yeah.
it opens up an extra stuff. So I have a 2.8 with that 24 to 105.
If you're a single shooter, what else do you need? That's your
it.
kit right there, right? I mean, yeah, that's it.
all you need.
But you can't. I mean, if you're shooting alone and you know this, you're running around. What a pain it is to keep having to fire out lenses and to get everything going. It's too many things that can go wrong.
Right, or even to just set a focus. Like, I know with your cameras, with the Black Magics,
Yeah.
they look great. But, people don't realize, too, you need a few people to run that, go in focus. It takes more time to just shoot with those cameras as opposed to like the C70 or the the FX3.
No, you're absolutely right. People at Black Magic have done a great job. I mean, that Ursa 12K, have you seen that? I mean, the image of
it looks great.
Yeah,
but you need a team around.
You need a team around you. Plus, the fact, I mean, you can shoot 8K in like 240 frames per second.
Yeah,
I mean, it's insane what you can do with that camera. But if you have the team, a single operator that gets really heavy too. I mean, those are bulky cameras. People don't realize how heavy cameras are. I used to work for various sport teams in the area, like the Prudential Center, and I would film certain things for them. Those sport cameras, those news ENG style cameras, it's like that. It's like a tank on your shoulder. You're trying to carry that around for you. No. That's a killer. That's not easy to do.
Strip down the FX3, you're holding a little thing like this, and it's I always say too, like I did another film with a friend of mine, and a lot of times it was just him and he's the actor, and I'm the camera guy.
Sure, yeah.
I have one light just sitting here, and it's just he's reading a book or something, and it's just like some of those shots just look so cinematic. It's like people are just watching what's on the screen. They don't know if you have, campers outside, 50 people crew, and they don't see it. Yeah, when you're on set, you like to have all of that, and it looks great. It's like, oh, it's just me and you. But at the end of the day, when you're looking at what's on that screen, that's all that really matters.
Absolutely.
Everything else is just
what was there was a Sony for Breaking Point? Breaking Point, we used the FS7 at the time. Yeah, that was Sony. That was a great guy. I think it was their flagship for like that too low. I mean, Sony, their big thing is the Sony Venice, and that's just a phenomenal camera, another level. But that's you're not going to be buying that at a store, really.
Or the Alexa too.
I mean, it's funny that you can buy, which still looks amazing. You can go buy used Ari at at Arama for like $6,000. It's only HD, but you still get that color science. You still get that look. It's incredible. But the new Alexa, you said $60,000, $70,000 for a camera.
And I think they came out with, I'm not too familiar with some of the reds, but they made a lower end red now that's like off the chart.
Yeah, the Komodo. Yeah, very good camera. They just made an upgraded version. The Komodo, I think they thought it was going to be a crash camera. Like a B camera, you put it in a car, you put it on
they have a white one too.
They're amazing. And now they made it bigger so you have more ports where it's actually easier to work with the workflow.
Too, you have to start building them out and you get all these other things, and you're up to 20,000.
You become addicted to these rigs.
That's the problem.
You start buying every little thing.
Look great.
Small rigs does it, Tilted does it, you have
want all of that. Listen, especially if you're working for a client and they see that, it's impressive.
They got a
matte box, and it's instead, you come in here with what's that little thing? Like,
people don't realize. Well, people don't realize, photo lenses have the same glass as cinema lenses. So if you take the Sigma 18-35 photo lens, the cinema lens is the same glass. You just have different aspects, and it's easier to work with. You know, you have everything that it's a click, and you make sure that you could actually hold focus correctly. Yeah. It's designed for a team.
Yeah.
But the glass still looks similar. But if a client sees the Sigma 18-35 photo lens that looks like this, and they see the cinema lens that has all these dials, they're going to say, why am I paying you for this?
Right.
That's a lot of
the other thing, too, is that, so the body of the FX3 and these, they now have 5 stabilizations in them, and then you put a lens with stabilization. When you're shooting with cinema lenses, there is no,
you have nothing.
There's no stabilization in the camera. So it's very rigid. So those little things, you could actually do a walk and talk without anything. You know, you don't need a steady cam.
It almost looks like a gimbal at this point. I mean, it's incredible. Yeah.
If you're pretty steady, it almost looks like a gimbal. And that, again, that's now I don't have to dress the thing up. I don't have to set up for a gimbal because that takes time.
Yeah.
Time is money.
No, you're absolutely right. The technology has caught up so much now where you can do, I mean, even iPhones have gimbals. I mean, it's incredible, right? I mean, it's so beautiful that the marketplace has opened up where anybody can really tell their story now if they want to. But then, like Chris said, and we talked about a little earlier, now we get to the point where everybody can tell a story, so the value of our story has devalued.
Right. I was just going to say that. So that's it's a good thing and it's a bad thing, because now you flood the market with a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So now you have something good. How are they even going to see that?
Yeah. Sure.
That's the other problem.
Well, and there used to be, you know, it's funny. I'm not calling any of these movies shit, but let's say like, you know, C-level movies that used to come out that would go to, you know, late night HBO before HBO became this, you know, like, you know, a lot of those C action movies that you could make a living doing those in the mid 90s, the late 80s. That those are people's bread and butter, those type of films. Those now everybody's going to Tubi, which we're all thankful for, Amazon. But again, like you said, the market's flooded. How do you make money? I mean, the marketplace has become so convoluted with every film, even good films. There's tons of good films that come out there. The value of the product is essentially became almost zero, which is kind of a shame. So for filmmakers, like you said, for us that are still lucky enough to be in this business and make a living doing it, it's become very difficult, like, to survive. I don't think you could just do one thing anymore. Acting, writing, you have to kind of be mostly faceted to be able to do a lot.
That's why I do, you know, several different things, because I could either write a script for somebody, I could direct something. You know, I've even done like where I'll do reels for people.
Sure, yeah,
So I'll write out a few scenes, I'll direct it, write it for them, shoot it for them, edit it for them. You know, anything to earn some money
in the same industry that we love.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus
We're still doing what we love,
yeah.
which is the ultimate goal. You know, if you get to do what you love, then it's not many people get to do that in this world. You know,
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, do you ever? And this is a question we have to ask ourselves. We all took a very risky path in life. A lot of us came from the business world, could have done anything else. Do you ever sit there? I'm sure a lot of us do. Do we ever sit there one day and wake up sometimes and just go, what the hell was I thinking? Like,
of course, yeah. Listen, you know, I still say that. You know, why? My sister was a cop, NYPD for 20 years.
Sure.
You know, it's got a nice pension. You know, why didn't they just go tell them?
Yeah, but I'll speak for both of us. We don't miss Wall Street either.
No, that too. I was a stockbroker on Wall Street, you know, for 5 years. You know, I got my stockbroker's license, and yeah, he could have made a lot of money, lost a lot of money. But I think that when you're an artist, you know, you have to be true to that. You know, yeah. And you know, from when I was a kid, I always wanted to act, and you know, I kind of like buried it, and because it's your parents, like, that's not realistic, and you know. But then, you know, when things didn't go right in the market, I said, you know, when I was at a point where I think I was about 28, and I said, you know what, I need to go after my dreams. You know, if I don't now, when will I ever?
Exactly.
You know, so you know, here I am, 30 years later.
Well, you found two other people that are also doing the same.
We're in the same boat, so we're all fucked.
Well, I'm going to keep rolling. No, but it is one of the beautiful things you said, you know, it's following the dreams.
Yeah.
And people don't really, you don't get into this business. If you're in this, just say, I want to get rich, it's not the right
Or I want
for
to
you. Yeah, you have to love it. See,
listen, there are a lot of people that we probably know that are kind of like that.
Don't forget me when you're
famous,
famous, Sean.
Yeah, I want to be a star. You know, I want to do this, I want to do that, you know, and I'm like, okay, you know, but you got to do what you love, you know, so
that's it.
That's what it comes down to.
Well, I mean, I just think it's the way like a perceived value we're talking about. A lot of people perceive, don't forget me when you're famous. I say that a lot because people will say that that's the way they perceive it. Yeah. People that are viewing our films on TV or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's really, I mean, what are you passionate about? What's your calling? Like, what's your purpose in life? You know, some people may be to be a parent. Some people may be to be filmmakers, where we sacrifice.
Right.
We don't have the kids and all that.
The other thing too is, like, it's unfortunate too that we are in a very competitive business, and we all know a lot of people, and if everybody just kind of like said, let's all pool our talents together.
Yeah.
If I'm doing something, you're doing, if we could all just kind of get into that, and it would be a lot easier. It's kind of like,
Well, an
5
example.
people playing the lottery as opposed to one.
Well, how about what was it? Scorsese, De Niro, Harvey Keitel, right?
Yeah.
Didn't they all in New York get together and do these smaller films which became bigger films? They kept working with each other.
You see Adam Sandler.
Yeah, well, his group,
all
yeah,
his
yeah,
friends,
same guys, yeah.
I mean,
And their talent.
right. You constantly, having all of these people. So if this works for me, I'll bring you in, as opposed to, well, I got to get ahead of the next guy.
No, you're absolutely right, and we're firm believers in that. You know that you too, as you know, we were actually at a film festival last week talking. We didn't have a film in it. Yeah. I said, why are you guys here? Like, I loved it. This is great. You guys are supporting everything. We said, no, if everybody does good in the indie world, it's good for all of us.
Yeah.
We need to show that our films can be out there. We do need to pool resources, because the more our films get seen, the more people understand that there is a medium of independent filmmaking, the better it is for all of us that are out there.
We have the hands-on experience where some of these young filmmakers we met there, they were so wide-eyed and open-eared, and they wanted to pick our brain about our experiences with it, and we were happy to tell them.
That's a perfect time to end it, I think. Really, John, I think it's a pleasure having you. Anytime we're together, it's great.
Yeah.
Working together a long time, some personal friends. And then again, really, John, this is somebody that has been in the business. If you have the pleasure to work with him, open your ears and just listen. John knows so much. He has so much knowledge, and he's willing to share it with a lot of people. A lot of people at John's status, at his level, aren't as open-minded of trying to help the people around them. Really, John, every time we work with you, we see you giving well-thought-out opinions to people that you can really help people do.
I appreciate that, and I know we're going to be working together again real soon.
Yeah,
on something. So
no,
we were
absolutely
just talking about that too. So
this is great. Thank you very much for coming on, John. We appreciate it.
Part of it. Thank you. For
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's good. So we'll see you guys soon. Thank you guys for tuning in again, and we'll see you guys in a couple days.